In this edition of Locked On Capitals, we welcome the voice of the Caps ECHL affiliate South Carolina Stingrays, Cody Lefkowitz, next on this edition of Locked On Capitals.
You're Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms. And I want to thank you for making this your first listen or view of the day. Yes, this podcast is also available in video form, so head on over to YouTube and check it out. My name is Dan Holme. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, we talk about the Stingrays' push for the Kelly Cup, what players on this team help them get in the position that they're in, and the outlook for the games ahead. But in this edition, we're happy to have Cody Lefkowitz, the voice of the Stingrays, on the show. Cody, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So, the Capitals didn't get quite the outcome that they were looking for, and I've talked about the Bears on this show, and now I'm talking about the Stingrays. The Stingrays open the 2023 Kelly Cup playoffs this Saturday, April 22nd at the North Charleston Coliseum for Game 1 of the Divisional Semifinal round against the Florida Everblades. How excited are you about the Stingrays making it into the Kelly Cup?
I'm excited. This is such a historic franchise. I'm just finishing up my second year, and I heard all these stories, 3 Kelly Cups, 6 appearances, the list goes on and on and on of the accolades of the team. And, the year that we had and the year even Hershey had and Washington had last year, a little plagued by injuries. But, the fact that we're back in there, it's exciting. The team looks really good, clinched the division, #1 team in the South. And, first time we've done that in I think it's 7 years, that 2015-16 campaign. So, super excited. The team looks like a rock star right now.
And they're no stranger to the Kelly Cup or winning the Kelly Cup. The Stingrays have finished with the best record in the ECHL once and qualified for the playoffs in all but 2 seasons with Kelly Cup championships in 97, 01, and 09. The Stingrays are tied with the Hampton Roads Admirals and the Alaska Aces for the most league championships. So they really know how to play down in Carolina, South Carolina Stingrays, and they know how to get results by winning multiple Kelly Cups. Same goes for the Hershey Bears, as they've won multiple cups there as well. What is it about this Stingrays team that, just historically, they know how to win games when they matter the most?
Yeah, it's, I think it boils down to coaching, and we've been so lucky with some of the coaches that have come through. And you look back even at the start, you have Rick Vive, then Rick Aduno, and then from there, Jason Fitzsimmons, who's with the Caps now. And, everybody essentially became an assistant and then moved into the head coaching role. Nobody just jumped in from outside the division. So that's where the success comes from, because you get Jared Bednar, who came through the system as a player. Now he's an assistant under Jason Fitzsimmons. Now he's a head coach. He's winning a Kelly Cup. Cale, he's in Colorado, wins the Stanley Cup last year. Cale McLean is his assistant then. Cale moves into the head coaching role. Well, where is he now? He's an assistant in Calgary. Same thing with Carberry, and then same thing with Warsofsky. And obviously now you've got 4 coaches in the NHL, and, there are rumors about some of them hopefully getting to move up in the next couple of years just because of how good they are. And so I think it boils down to that, and just the consistency of the coaching staff being able to, pass knowledge down year after year after year. And even talking with Coach Kotick this year, if the team, struggles on a power play for a game or two or needs some help in this aspect, he's able to go ahead and call those guys. And, you don't share all industry secrets, but he's able to get what he needs out of them and learn how to adjust in his first year behind the bench as the head coach. And, I think he's done a fantastic job. And, it showed. He was up for Coach of the Year again this year, one of the 5 finalists. So it just year after year, the coaching tree just keeps growing and growing and growing and digging its roots deeper.
And, it seems like a long history of good coaches there. Kodik began coaching career as an assistant coach, joining the Stingrays organization in the 2021 season. In his first season as an assistant coach, Kodik helped lead the Stingrays to a 2021 Kelly Cup finals appearance. So the proof is in the pudding, as they say, and he seems to be the kind of coach that gets results. Same thing goes for Hershey. A little bit different on the big team up in Washington. As we know, there's a bit of a changing of the guard there with Peter Laviolette and some of the assistants. So would you say that is the biggest thing behind it right now is coaching? Or what else is really just kind of propelling this team into doing really great things?
I think coaching is it has to be up there. If you put a list together, I think coaching is definitely up there in the top 3. And along with that, you look at just some of the people who have been a part of the organization forever. And, a lot of it goes back to the team president, Rob Kincannon. He's been here. He came here as a player. He's now in his 13th season as president with the team. He's able to help lead them to success in different aspects, but also has, has that connection with some of these guys. And, Jason Fitzsimmons and his role with Washington, he looks over all of the minor organizations. And so he's able to help, and it's just top to bottom. I mean, I look through sort of who we have as our older brother and our dad in a sense, and some of the other teams in the league and who they have, and without a doubt, I look at it and I say, we're a great organization. Hershey's a great organization. It's just success that bleeds from top to bottom, and it's sort of a trickle down effect where we're able to get that help, and it builds success year after year. There's now a foundation of success where I think everybody just expects it at this point.
Yeah, and it's, as someone that covers the Capitals 5 days a week, I know a lot about the Capitals and Hershey. What I'm trying to do ultimately with this show is getting the fans of the Capitals more familiar with the Stingrays. I mean, it's not like a one-off team. It's not a flash in the pan. This team gets results on a consistent basis. And that's kind of why I'm trying to shed a little bit of light on the Stingrays affiliate. And, there's been some great players that have come out there and spoke glowingly of that organization. All right. So after the break here, we are going to talk about some of the key players on this team. And ultimately, that is my assessment on one of the things that's fueling this team. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Something exciting is coming to Built.com on April 22nd. I don't have all the details yet, but the excitement is real and something you won't want to miss. If you know how Built works, they have the most incredible protein bars in the world, and they do these amazing flavor drops with unreal flavors and limited quantity. So mark your calendars ahead at Built.com on Saturday, April 22nd to be one of the first to discover what all the hype is about. I can't wait to see what this new flavor is. Make sure to use promo code LOCKEDON15 and you'll get 15% off your order. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure and hit subscribe so you can be in the know when it comes to the Capitals. A big show coming up for you tomorrow, as well as we have Roman Stubbs from the Washington Post. In this edition, we have Cody Lefkowitz, the voice of the South Carolina Stingrays. So kind of just taking a look a little bit closer at some of the players that are key on this team. And what I think is kind of, one of the things that's helping propel this team, taking a look here, Clay Stevenson, if you want to take a look at the goalie in particular, when Clay Stevenson found out he was going to start his professional career in the minor league ECHL, he didn't pout or get disrespectful, just the opposite. He looked forward to the opportunity to playing with the Stingrays. Let's talk a little bit about goaltending first. Clay Stevenson seems to be one of the guys that's really helping that Stingrays team get it done.
Yeah, Clay's been a superstar this first year. He comes in, and I think there are high expectations, obviously, just being on a contract with Washington. And, you have to navigate the pro game. When you look back at his last few years, he was in Coquitlam. Then he goes into Dartmouth, doesn't play for a year because of COVID. Plays the next year, appears in 23 games. He's the all-star for that team in net. And then he gets signed by Washington. So really in the past 2 years, he's played 23 games. So it's such a tough thing to navigate to get back into it. But he came out guns a-blazing, wins goaltender of the week early in the year. He's a phenomenal goaltender. And he's been huge. And, along with that, Tyler Wall came into the team with on an ECHL contract. I think a lot of people forget that. And he ends up signing with Hershey about a month or two into the season. And from there, I mean, his goals against goes down by about half a goal. His save percentage goes up by, I believe it's 10 points. Like, he just turns it around. It's a confidence thing. And these two guys are out there pushing each other, game after game, day after day, practice after practice to be the best. And, they're both guys that haven't played a lot in the last few years for different reasons. But when you look at Clay, most games that he's played in his career, 35 back in that 2019-20 season, he appeared in 36 games for us this year and then went up to Hershey and played 3 more games with them where he was near perfect. I mean, Tyler Wall, the same thing, plagued by injury last year. Was originally came up with that Rangers organization, Jacksonville, Hartford. And, again, just the injury, I think sort of hurt him off the ice in a sense. And he came down here, got adjusted back to it, got set with the pace of play and came in. And I mean, I don't envy the coaching staff going into game 1, having to pick who's going to go in net. Cause I think you don't go wrong with either pick.
And the thing is about the Capitals, and I'm going to go ahead and, look historically, Braden, Holtby, Philipp, Grubauer, you take a look down in Hershey, Zach Fucale, you got Hunter Shepard, Garen Bjorklund, there's Mitchell Gibson. I mean, I know he was on the amateur tryout. There is a lot of different options, and the Capitals have always had really good options in net here. Clay Stevenson is one of the guys that was interesting to me that they picked him up because it seemed like they were already loaded in net, but they end up picking up yet another goalie. Stevenson, who signed a 2-year, $1.85 million entry-level contract with the Caps last March, also knew the history of the club. He understood if he played there, the Caps had a history of promoting their goalies through the ranks of the organization. The Stingrays have sent no less than a half dozen goalies: Braden, Holtby, Vitek Vanacek, Logan Thompson, Philipp Grubauer, Phoenix Copley, and James Reimer from the ECHL to the NHL over the past 2 decades. It's no joke. It is a good place for the goaltenders to hone their craft and to really, shoot for the sky. Sometimes you think of, the ECHL and the AHL. I think that if you are just a fan of the NHL, you think to yourself, well, I know those are pro teams, but how good are they? That is a pretty big name of goalies I just listed there that have had really great careers in the NHL.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And we look at it all the time. We're so fortunate because Washington is so deep at goaltender year after year that, we sort of reap the benefits of some of those drop downs, but they don't stay here and they don't end here. They move up from there. And, you even look at Hunter Shepard was with us the last couple of years and he's up in Hershey now. And, to me, I think he's an outstanding goaltender. And you look at some of these goalies that, to like Stevenson, like Shepard, they weren't drafted. They were undrafted free agents that were signed. Logan Thompson, another one. What's he? He's an all-star now. Hunter Shepard, it wouldn't surprise me even next year, depending on sort of the goaltending situation, if they bring him back, if he gets a shot at a game or 2 in the NHL. I mean, he's a good goalie. And Clay Stevenson is going to move through the ranks. And it's just year after year, they have such good goaltending. They send it down. And, a lot of people forget that James Reimer came through the organization and Vitek Vanacek and Grubauer and, Holtby for a year. And yeah, all these guys, it doesn't take long. They're here for a year, 2 max, and they're off and running and making an NHL career out of it.
And Vanacek was just playing the other night in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And Braden Holtby, we know what he did for the Caps in their win of the Stanley Cup. So definitely a legitimate big-time league out there. And you're seeing all kinds of big players coming from the Stingrays, from the Bears. Just a really great organization overall. So one of the other goalies that you mentioned as well is Tyler Wall, originally drafted by the Rangers that you mentioned there in the 6th round of the 2016 NHL draft. Wall appeared in 15 AHL games with the Hartford Wolfpack and has been 4-8-1. Wall posted a perfect 2-0-0 record with a 1.89 goals against and a .941 save percentage against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits and the Florida Everblades last week. He stopped 64 of 68 shots, and his strong play helped the Stingrays create separation in the South Division. Sounds like another really great goalie like you talked about in that organization. Talk to me a little bit more about Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler has found his stroke. I mean, he's been lights out recently, multiple goaltender of the weeks just in the last month or two. He's 11-game win streak right now in decisions for him. When he starts in games, he's he's really settled in. And like I said, since signing in Hershey, he has really just figured it out. And he signed with us in the offseason. I don't know how we got away with that one. But then, mid-December, Hershey locks him up, helps us out a little bit, and make sure that he's not going to go to another AHL team because they know what he's capable of. We know what he's capable of. And, at the time, Clay Stevenson was up and down a little bit. We were pulling in an extra goaltender, and so they locked up Tyler Wall. He's been, again, outstanding, and more than anything, he's getting to show what he's able to do, because you look at the first couple of years of what he was going through, and his first year, it's COVID-based. Last year, gets injured in December, doesn't play the second half of the year, so you don't really know what to expect too much, but he's a good goalie. He's going to be able to win you games, and I think down the stretch he was really able to figure it out more so just because he's been in that scenario for 2 years. He's been in the locker room, even if he's not playing for a couple of years, knowing, hey, this is what a playoff push looks like. This is what a playoff situation looks like, where he was able to step up, especially in the second half of the year, and turn things around and, become one of the best goalies of the year. And I think if he was able to start that same way, he would have a real chance at earning that award for the league.
Yeah, just impressive all around. I just was doing quite a bit of research on the Stingrays the last couple days here, and goaltending really seems to be one of the strong suits of that team. That is for sure. All right, so after the break here, we're going to talk. It's not all about goaltending. They have great goal scorers as well. We'll talk about them straight ahead. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits the first time. Just add your ride to my garage and look for the green check to know if the part will fit or your money back, because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So we got done talking about the great net minding for the Stingrays there, but it's not just the net minding. The Stingrays scored 263 goals and surrendered 194. Kevin O'Neil, Carter Turnbull netted 24 goals and South Carolina each, while Josh Wilkins contributed in 41 assists. The one guy that's on that list is no longer playing on the team. He moved over to Europe, from what I understand. Carter Turnbull. How big of a loss has that been for the Stingrays?
When you look at it and you say he's got 24 goals by the start of February, you think that's going to be a big loss, but the team's really picked it up. We struggled a little bit in mid-January and into February, but the team was able to turn it around. The coaching staff did a great job sort of getting everybody back on track, righting the ship. And from there, it just gave a chance for some of these other stars to shine through. And that's what they did. Kevin O'Neil ends up with 24 goals on the year, another rookie out of UConn, along with Turnbull and Johnny Evans. And Bear Hughes, his rookie season out of Spokane, comes out. He's got 59 points, led his junior team last year. Now, he's one of the youngest kids on the team. He's second on the team in points. And Josh Wilkins, I'll talk with Coach all the time, and we'll sort of talk about Wilkins and some other guys. And he's sure that Wilkins might be the most skilled player in the league. He makes it look effortless. I don't think he breaks a sweat. So really, it wasn't a big loss. I think that a lot of people were able to sort of get together and figure out, hey, what is the team going to look like? And from there, you said it, 263 goals for this year. That's the fourth highest in a single season in Stingrays history. So it's, I think the season has actually gone sort of underrated in an aspect, and people look at it and they say, oh, we're really good. But, you start to break down some of those numbers we mentioned, and it's actually one of the best teams that the Stingrays have had in the regular season.
Yeah, and I, just as a fan, I don't live in the area, so I'm going to probably be watching the games online, but I'm really kind of pumped to see what this team has in the tank. But just kind of taking a look at the stats here in general, it's not, just that. You take a look at Josh Wilkins, 21, Bear Hughes, 23, Kevin O'Neil, 24, Carter Turnbull, like we talked about, 24. There is a lot of players that can score goals on a consistent basis. That is for sure. So there are a lot of players there that ostensibly could find a role on the Capitals in years to come. Some of those names are quite familiar. They've had stints, in preseason games and that kind of thing. So it is interesting. That is for sure. So what of those players, being that I talked about that some, probably one or two of those players is going to be due for a promotion at some point. If you had to pick one player on the team, other than the netminders, we kind of know that they're rock solid at, but if you had to pick like a forward or a defenseman, who do you think is poised to make a big push next season?
That's tough because we've seen everybody sort of move up, and there was a lot of talk around, a guy like Bear Hughes, can he be the rookie of the year? And, a lot of people that have seen him said, I don't know how he's down here all year. Kevin O'Neil got 4 different stints in the AHL this year, 2 with Hershey, 2 with Colorado. Del Gaizo just spent 2 weeks in Milwaukee in the AHL. Michael Kim, he's gone up and down with Hershey a little bit this year. He's gotten his chance with the Bears, and they really like him. But again, it's just the depth of the team. Josh Wilkins, again, just such a skilled player, played the first few years of his career in the A and then went to Sweden. Again, another guy, I don't know how we snagged him, but I'm happy that we did. So it's I don't know if I could pick just one because there are just some of these guys that can really make their push. And, a lot of it is development as well, or these guys that not only can they play the game, but can they be coached? And I think one of those guys in Connor Moore has really become one of the best defensemen in the league. He was a guy that only played a handful of games his first year and didn't end up playing in the Kelly Cup. We make it all the way to the finals against Fort Wayne. He doesn't play in the playoffs. And last year the team struggles and Connor sort of gets pushed into a role where he's playing top end minutes because of injuries and call-ups and everything else going on. And this year he comes in and he's poised and he's calm, cool, collected. And, he's making plays, sets a record for himself, a career high at 37 points, 6 goals, 31 assists. And, Morsey is where it starts to wear an A on the chest, a couple months ago, becomes an assistant captain for the team. So he's really developed. And I think that that's something as well that hopefully coaching staffs in the AHL look at and they say, okay, not only who can play the game, but who's able to progress, who's able to become a better player and become the sort of AHL player we want. So there are a lot of players on the team. Some that I think people are looking at, like we said, O'Neil and Del Gaizo have gotten their call-ups. Bear Hughes on a contract with the A, but then there are also some of those unsung guys that I think might get, overlooked at times and haven't gotten their chance that might be able to make the jump next year. And whether they're here on an AHL deal or on the A on a deal, I hope everybody on the team is able to move up and move on and become a great player in their career.
All right, Cody, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Locked On Capitals. Why don't you tell everyone where we can find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, postseason begins this Saturday, also another home game on Monday. So if you can't make it out, you can catch us on Mixler, SC Stingrays Hockey. You can catch us on Flow Hockey. If you head to the Stingrays website, stingrayshockey.com, there will be a link right there. You can go ahead, click on that link and send you right over to our page. And then along with that, select games on Caps Radio 24/7. So that'll be sort of sporadic throughout. We're still figuring out the schedule. It looks like we might get our first few games, but it's all going to depend on Hershey's schedule at this point. So if they're not on and we have a game, expect us to be right on there.
Sounds great. Maybe I can have you on if they make a big push. I can get your insight on what you think is going right or going wrong, that kind of thing, if you'd be up for something like that. But once again, I want to thank you for joining us on this edition of Locked On Capitals, where it is your team every day. Tomorrow we have Roman Stubbs from the Washington Post, so you won't want to miss that one. My name is Dan Holme of Locked On Capitals, and I'll talk to you next time.